what in the hell is a wine expert?
The next question for me is, can we trust that wine expert? Because for me, big issue is that...
Who are we to judge?
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
Well,
you failed to mention that.
so I think it's our mission and to break these stereotypes. No A4 paper or newsletter or AI will do that. We should do that. And this is the only way.
Can we stop on the acidity?
No, I mean...
Do you think every consumer understands what is high acid wine?
No, but still, I mean, it's the way how you explain, you know. You can say it's an acidity, or you can say it is like a bite in a Granny Smith apple, which is juicy.
Something relatable.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to No Sediment, new segment, Talk Under the Vine. And today, my guests are Raimonds Tomsons and Ronalds Pētersons.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, hello.
I have chosen actually a very interesting topic, I think, for us today. But before we start, could you introduce yourself and tell why you are fit to talk about wine?
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Raimonds. I'm a sommelier. I work in Barents Wine Collectors Company, together with you, by the way. And wine is part of my everyday life. That explains why I'm sitting here today together with you.
No, it does not.
Simple as that.
You are a winner. You are a winner of the World Championship. You failed to mention that.
Yeah.
You're also winner of the European Sommelier Championship, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
so which years?
2017 Europe and last year Best Sommelier of the World.
Okay, so this is where
if I have to mention that.
So this is why you're sitting.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm an importer as well, importer in a company called Noble Wine. But for a long time, I've been quite passionate about wine as well. I worked as a sommelier for some years and been in the wine business for some time. So competed in the competitions as well, but here in Baltics and in Latvia.
But you have won also the Baltics.
Yes.
Was it once or several times?
I think twice.
Twice, okay.
A long time as well. Quite a long time as well ago.
Okay. So we are fit to talk about wine industry.
I hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so.
We represent it, so...
Yeah. So I have chosen a topic from 2018 Masters of Wine exam, paper 5, which is usually more philosophical paper, if you will. Actually, it will challenge maybe a bit us here because it asks this question: do wine consumers need experts? If we consider us and experts, do wine consumers need us?
Yeah, I think before we start the conversation, we should define what in the hell is a wine expert. Is it a grape grower? Is it a winemaker? Is it the seller, distributor? Who is a wine expert? Or is it a sommelier? Or is it just a passionate girl or a guy who is just learning about wine in a master sommelier school or guild of somm or something like that?
I think, depends whom you ask, because when you ask this question, the first thing I thought a wine expert is someone who is dealing actually physically with the end consumer.
Okay.
I think this what comes straight in personally in my mind. And the quick, easy answer, I think it is still yes. Because, again, if you will ask any wine lover who comes, for example, into this wine shop, or who goes to restaurants, or who is willing to buy wine, I think, physical contact with a knowledgeable, let's say, wine professional, be it a sommelier or a sales representative, is essential. So someone actually who can guide you through the shelves of a wine shop or maybe a wine list in a restaurant. I think this is still at the moment not replaceable by someone who is not human.
Or somewhat.
Yeah, maybe I'm very old-fashioned and Ronalds probably would like to support that. And he will say, yes, you are. Just to make it short and straight, I think if you ask me, it is still very complicated to replace a charismatic, humble wine professional who is dealing with wine, be it a winemaker maybe, or sales representative, or sommelier, what we are actually all. Yeah, and this kind of live discussion about wine, to transmit these emotions, for example, hey, I visited the winery, the place is gorgeous, the grapes are great, and the wine is of high quality, and so on and so forth. So I think from that perspective, it is still very, very complicated to replace a human being in the wine world.
If I may continue, my start in wine was based on learning, as I think as everyone had. And for, I think, 5 to 6 to 7 years, wine knowledge was everything for me. I thought that was the epitome of how can I, let's say please the customer, yeah? With my knowledge on wine, with my lexicon, vocabulary that I'm using. But when I started to work in Noble Wine, in the shop as well, not only on the floor in a restaurant, to be fair, I actually understood that only a very small part of our clients is interested. They want the story. They want the knowledgeable sales representative to talk about wines professionally, tell the story, tell the taste profile, and so on. But a very big consumer part is very, not interested in that. There is the question: what percentage is interested in your knowledge, and what percentage is not interested in your knowledge? And where the sales skills overcome the wine expertise skills, and sales skills are much more important if we talk about, shop. The salesperson who is good in sales will sell a lot more, and will maybe sell a different region or a different grape than a good wine expert. That's my opinion. Because I've dealt with both.
Yeah.
I dealt with both.
I, for example, believe that wine expert is someone, as you mentioned as well, is also a winemaker, viticulturist who works in the vineyard and understands, and I want them to understand the chemistry part of it. But if we put that aside and we simply talk about how you define wine expert is someone who kind of is connecting, or is it wine writer or sommelier who's connecting the winemaker or winery with the client, then the next question for me is, can we trust that wine expert? Because for me, big issue is that we travel a lot, and sometimes we wine experts, sommeliers, get invited to wineries. We spend these amazing, days there. We are fed. We are drinking those wines. We are, jumping in the pool and enjoying all that luxury lifestyle. And of course, when we come back, we will say there's no way we will say this wine is bad or it's not as good. Of course, our emotions and experience is filled with that great kind of, with those great memories. So naturally, we want to maybe repay that, and we go to the shelf and we say, wine consumer, this bottle is perfect, this is great, I've been there, I've tasted those wines, this is how they grow it. And maybe that's not necessarily the wine the consumer or the customer came in to buy. So we are kind of like, there's this bias.
For a casual customer, he is buying emotions. Yeah.
Your emotions. Now.
Why not? Why not? So if I can give him the emotions, then yeah, why not? A lot of people, you ask your friends, how was the wine, or how was the bread there? How was the restaurant there? So you trust your friend, you trust their feelings, their emotions, and you trust their opinion in some way, and you're being influenced by it in some way as well. So I think for a casual consumer, emotions is one thing that they rely upon. Looks of the bottle, emotions that are given to him. If we talk about more knowledgeable customer, then maybe this will not work. Yeah, talking about how are you swimming in the pool, yeah, in Sicily. But I think for a casual consumer, it's a good selling point. Yeah,
I get your point, and there are probably plenty of situations where I agree. Wine in the end of the day is something with a good commercial appeal. And of course, you need to sell, and sometimes, yes, inviting a sommelier or a wine professional to a winery to have this whole experience is very essential and important, and he goes back with those emotions. And wine can be very subjective, I had plenty of situations when I really like the people, I like the welcome, the lunch, the dinner, the whole experience. But maybe this specific wine is not entirely, suitable to my palate. Although maybe it costs, or we can categorize it as a fine wine. And as we know, price is not a guarantee that you will like it or your client will like it. But yes, I have your point. I think it's more dangerous maybe for the end consumer in restaurants where maybe the wine list is built on strong big companies, who are maybe supporting the restaurant, with some financial support. We know these situations, or maybe they have a deal with the owners. I don't know. There could be plenty of situations. And then maybe the wine program or wine list is built based on the portfolio of those 1, 2, or maybe just one company. Or maybe the sommelier, as you said, has been traveling to all those wonderful estates and then, of course, listing those wines. Yes, but in the end of the day, if the client likes it, everything is cool. There could be situations, and I had those situations when a guest does not appreciate maybe the style of wine.
Do you have anything to add?
Lately, my only concern is the final customer. If you think about any expert in any field, she should provide some benefit to the customer and to the business itself. From the business point of view, as a wine seller, do I need wine experts on the floor? I would love to, but usually they're more expensive, and for a business, it's not economically viable, sustainable, and viable. And I would love that in every shop in Riga, everywhere in the world, I go in, ask, I would like high acidity, low alcohol, mineral wine, and voila, they usually bring me the bottle that I want. But that's not always the case because it's not economically sustainable. Yeah. Does a customer need a wine expert? I think yes, but again, from the business side of view, I'm not really sure about that. If we talk about sales.
It's an interesting topic that you brought up, because I do think that business needs wine expert, because then you can sell wines that you thought like the regular person who works in the wine shop would not. I mean, we have this discussion with Raimonds. We ordered an amazing cremant from Jura, and the price point is close to champagne.
It's like champagne.
Yeah. So the price point is, it's just champagne. So why would client choose, and that is amazing cremant, but why would client or customer, wine lover, choose that cremant instead of that champagne? And of course, when the client comes in, naturally, he or she would go towards the champagne. And I was actually challenging Raimonds, like, can you sell these wines? And he said, yeah. And actually, 2 weeks passed, we sold all of that. I mean, there was a wine expert, Raimonds, and kind of he had the story, he could tell, he could explain the wine, and people trusted him.
So I really think it depends on the structure of business, shop or restaurant. Here, for example, there are two essential values: the portfolio, the content, and the people who are behind this content and actually
content which is put up
by
wine experts.
Yeah, by us actually. Yeah, and also if we look from the different perspective, it really depends who is buying the wine, who is your clientele. I think the human part of wine business is still very important for the older generation. I would like to say a more conservative clientele, which is still, like in our country, is very, very important part. They want to call you, they want to come, some small talk, how are you? And then eventually they get to the actual purchase of the wine. But then there are, the new generation who comes in, hello, do you need some help? No, I'm fine. I'm just looking into my app, or, okay, I need these 3 bottles, So the question is where he's getting this information. I mean, you're studying Master of Wine now. And then the question is, how important during those studies is actually let's call it a teacher, who is interacting with you, who is helping you. I thought about that as well, how important in long term in the future will be an actual person teaching about wine. And this can get dangerous because, as we know, there are this AI kind of systems who can generate, codes and information, because these systems learn every day, like small children. When you teach them, they become better and more knowledgeable and more experienced. And they can generate information more efficiently, more fast. When you learn about wine, what Ronalds mentioned, sometimes a very passionate teacher is very important. Or when I was getting ready for competitions, you were one of my coaches, which was, again, essential part of the victory and my goal.
Yeah. But I think AI generates, at least currently, information, and that's also an interesting topic. Currently, when you ask them a question, they generate information from what is available on the internet. And there's a lot of false information available. And so it also generates, it gives you answer, which is false. And then you mentioned my studies. So I do read a lot of books and, of course, a lot of information from the internet sourced as well. But then I go and I visit wineries and winemakers and viticulturists, and I ask them directly. And very often they say, "Oh no, that's wrong. Like, we never do this. Like, we do completely opposite." And it kind of offers you this whole different view.
AI can be good enough for many things, also in wine industry.
Yeah.
But again, is it good enough for the job what we sometimes do? And I'm very happy, to do that. And also I thought, so far, no kind of robot or, AI can replace what we are doing, actually physically traveling, gathering all these informations and experiences by visiting wineries, regions, eating, drinking, swimming. And then, again, bringing this story back, it's irreplaceable at the moment.
As I said, that's the emotional part.
But this is, I think, more important when you're dealing with fine wines. Okay, what is a fine wine? But wines from maybe smaller scale producers, not necessarily fine, but, good quality, sometimes price-quality ratio, but with smaller allocations.
AI, in my opinion, as you said, it's not. We use it as well for some wine descriptions and so on.
Yeah.
And I tell the ChatGPT, write a description as Raimonds Tomsons would.
Oh, really?
And he uses the.
No.
If you like put in a certain text, he uses the same vocabulary as you do. But nevertheless, you need to reread it and to rewrite it. And as you said, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Good enough.
It's good enough, so you can fix the other things manually. It's a fantastic tool. It will evolve and yeah, use it in winemaking. You use it for the labels, so use it as you want. If in the end the product is good and the customer can use it and buy it as well, so I'm all for it.
Okay, you said if in the end the product is good, because wine experts, including winemakers, viticulturists as well, they taste wines and they say which product is good or bad or mediocre. So, and then I think the funny question is, can really one wine be better than the other?
Not always. What good for us is good for our everyday consumer. Let's agree on that, right? We have learned in schools that have some technique of wine evaluation, and we have been put in a frame, let's say that, but for a regular customer, they don't have the frame. So basically what they go on is their just own taste preferences and emotional attachment that, a wine professional or a label or a shape of a bottle can give to them. Yeah, I'm not totally sure, because I think we all know that most wine consumed in the world in the price point is definitely below 10 euros, right? So who are we to judge?
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
Well, when I talk to our, let's say, consumers and clients and guests in the past, wine is a very emotional product. Can be a wine in different situations, be different and taste different and give you different emotions? Yes, absolutely. And I'm still very convinced that if you sell a bottle of wine, if you don't say nothing about that, and if the person who will enjoy the wine has maybe limited knowledge and experience, here is a French wine for 20 euro. Yeah. He goes home, he drinks it with his limited knowledge, and then he will just judge the wine. Do I like it or not? Which is totally fair, but which is not sometimes fair to the winemaker. You know, all the efforts, what he has done. So I consider I have not done my job as a sommelier, because I'm the bridge, I'm the ambassador. So I think it's very important to explain, you know, this wine comes from that region, from that grape. So you should expect to have this or that style or character or acidity or tannins. And by the way, you know, this winemaker is a 7th generation. You know, he took over from his father. He has been working there. It's a very small farm. By the way, they work organically, you know, and things like that. So that adds to the overall experience.
Can we stop on the acidity?
No, I mean...
Do you think every consumer understands what is high acid wine?
No. But still, I mean, it's the way how you explain, you know. You can say it's an acidity, or you can say it is like a bite in a Granny Smith apple, which is juicy.
Something relatable.
Yes.
Okay. Not so technical.
This is a technical question how to explain. But the point I'm making is, then he goes back with all this information in his head. Okay, this guy told me, so this is a quite famous producer from this region I didn't knew about, from this grape which I didn't knew. So quite exciting. So I'll open it. I kind of have this kind of information, what to expect. And then he drinks and enjoys the wine with different kind of approach, which is not a guarantee he will like it. But at least he will enjoy this glass of wine. Before it was a limited kind of experience and knowledge, but now he's well informed about the wine, so he can be more objective maybe, and understand, okay, I don't like the wine, which means probably I don't like Riesling or Sauvignon Blanc, maybe, as an example, in simple word. So still it is very important how we transmit and explain and give the story about wine, and wine is about story. And I think you had this situation when you drank a Vermentino in Tuscany, and then you drank it maybe during winter at home. It's not the same wine. It's not the same feelings. It's not the same emotions. So coming back to your question, is one wine better than the other? Depends on your knowledge, experience, how to judge wine. So you can judge it pretty simple. Do I like it or not? And then there is the price. But I would like to think that yes, and I think maybe today we will see it, that one wine could be better, more enjoyable than the other one.
Yeah.
But emotions, you touch upon, I touched upon it, you touch upon it. Through the wine travels with the regular customers, through the wine tours. If a winemaker or representative is very open, you know, friendly, he also like gives some emotions to the people, customers, and the wine gets better at that point. When he says a small swear word, or you know, talks about whatever funny thing that happened in the winery, for example, or some slogans or art in the winery, it's emotion that makes for a regular customer wine better, in my opinion. Of course, there are some taste preferences, nevertheless, but wine styles that they prefer. But if they drink 3 Sauvignon Blancs in a row from Sancerre, and one has an espresso winemaker, for example, they would definitely love that more than the other both.
Yeah.
Emotions.
By the way, we traveled several times together, and I will not mention the region nor the producer, but sometimes we went together to a region and producer which is supposed to be a great producer, but the experience, you know, was not very personal.
Yeah.
So we left, with, well, not slightly disappointed, but maybe, yeah, with when our expectations were not fulfilled.
Mhm.
I mean, I can imagine, myself sitting in a restaurant, going through the wine list. Hey, there is this producer for a very good price. Yeah, I'll take something else. It can influence even such kind of choice sitting in restaurant from your experience.
That's true.
People like these romantic stories about a winemaker going into the vineyard with his dog, and checking on the ripeness of the grapes, checking on the disease, and then going back to the winery, speaking with his team. So wine always have been very human related, starting from the production to the selling process. So I'm just thinking, and definitely this can be, again, very dangerous, that AI probably in the future could be really technically advanced when it comes to ripeness of the grapes, even the way the grapes have been harvested, transported to the winery, and then also during the vinification process. So my thought is, at which moment and limit wine will get too technical, less romantic and interesting for normal people, us wine professionals. So the question, how important still is and will be the role of human, the winemaker? This, I think, can and will get dangerous, especially maybe for mass market wines with big productions. But I really hope and would like to believe that still the human factor in creating and reflecting the sense of place will be essential in long term. Will it be possible to replace it by machine? Still, a lot of winemakers say that the best way how to understand the ripeness is by tasting, not checking with the refractometer, the potential sugar and alcohol.
I think for the premium goods, it will not change. I think the human factor will at least in our lifetime, it still be.
Have you seen the wineries in Bordeaux? Like inside, they look like, I don't know, inside of the airplane or something. It's just like buttons and lights and temperature.
How is Bordeaux doing? Everything okay?
Well, the fine wines are sold okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I think you touched upon a very interesting topic about the knowledge of final wine consumer. And I have this great story, actually from wine professionals. I will not name them, but basically what happened, they traveled to Bordeaux for grape picking, and they went into the shop and bought some wine. Amongst wines they bought for evening to enjoy after a long, hard day, they bought Jura. And the first bottle they opened, they said it was bad. And they next day they went back and they exchanged the bottle. The next bottle,
Monjun?
Yes. So the next bottle was the same.
Yeah.
And when they called someone here and kind of expressed their disappointment, the person told, "Oh no, that's the style," and kind of explained the style of Minjon. And then I remembered these people told me, "Agnes, I was just sitting there in the evening looking in the stars and kind of enjoying that absolutely beautiful, amazing wine." So day one, he couldn't drink it, he exchanged it. And day two, with knowledge, he enjoyed that wine a lot. So you kind of have to maybe explain some wines.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an error from I'm not sure if it was a professional wine shop. That's a good question.
I don't think it was, no.
Okay, so
yeah.
But that's the way how you learn, like through trial and error. I think that's why wine is quite interesting. If you take one region and you go by trial and error, try everything from the region, and you will understand in the end what you like. It's like a small lottery in wine.
But come on, I mean, from one, when we sometimes, we eat blue cheese, and, it's also kind of, there is some error happened in history, and now we enjoy it. Do we need to know that this is supposed to be? That it is not just wine gone bad or something wrong?
Well, I think in that situation, he felt something unusual on the nose. I think before, at that period in in Latvia, and the wines were quite, let's say, from the commercial side, more conventional in their wine styles. So he were not used to that kind of aroma and style. Once you understand it, it improves the wine. You understand if it's not bad. It evolves in the glass, maybe in the end. And but it's good question. I don't know.
I think just to support what you say, certain wines, certain grape varieties and styles demand or need a special setting
or knowledge.
Yeah, in combination or both.
Yeah, combination.
Starting from the glass, temperature, food, because even now, there are certain grape varieties which I would not drink at home, like if I have to buy or choose. But in a restaurant, if I would be served a glass of, I don't know, Gewürztraminer from Alsace, maybe with a nice cheese or local dish, I would definitely drink it, a glass or two. So it really depends. And I think this situation also, they just wanted maybe to have a nice...
funny shaped bottle.
Yeah, fresh, nice wine to enjoy with after harvest.
After harvest, exactly.
But even in our shop, even for the old vintages, even for the customers who are regular customers, we still explain, okay, this is, I don't know, Barolo 81, 83, whatever. Okay, be careful. It's different aromas. You try to inform the customer. Even for some older champagnes, the same, yeah? People expect, it's a different vintage, but the taste will be the same as a fresh non-vintage champagne. No, that's not the case, yeah? So, again, explanation. You try to educate the customer a bit. That's why you need wine experts.
Yeah.
But maybe we can talk about the education part, right? We talked about, let's say we agree on the wine expert part. At some point, in terms of sales or in a business, you need a wine expert. Maybe not everyone should be a wine expert, but at least someone. My concern, is how to educate the customer more efficiently. Yeah. How to do it, wine schools, I don't know, AI produced content.
Yeah.
What do you think? What is the best way? Because I believe that the best way how to show the wine world a bit more open than not only 3 regions and 3 grapes is through education. I believe that for a very long time. What is your opinion?
Depends whom you are talking to. Some people will still enjoy a teacher or someone who is talking about wine in a relaxed manner. And then there are, I think, definitely part of your clients who would love to go deep and geeky. And maybe there are some clients who would just like to see an online education class. But what works, I think, really the key question is you need to understand your end consumer. And maybe, the best way is to do something which is more conservative and classic to attract the more old school, classic, conservative consumer. And then something, what we see more and more, young people coming into the shop and looking for something unusual, maybe natural or low intervention. Of course, something affordable sometimes. It's not only about wines, which are, expensive. Yeah, it's a question which is very difficult to answer in one way.
And I also think that, sometimes we take this as a mission, like we need to educate our consumer and clientele and let them kind of discover these obscure grape varieties, never heard of, impossible to pronounce regions and everything. But sometimes these people, they just drink maybe they choose to drink one wine per week, and they want it to be safe choice. They don't want to experiment. They just want my Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, and I'm so happy. It gives me pleasure. And I have stress coming home, I don't know, with this whatever grape, and and then asking myself, will I have the same pleasure that I expect or I want? I'm not ready to risk. And especially maybe for those who do not spend as much money on wine as we do, I'm guessing, €20 per bottle is enough. And spending and then being disappointed at home, I think, sometimes people just do not want to, because they just want to feel safe. Maybe, everything else in their life is so...
They have different hobbies.
Yeah. We are happy. We kind of want to know, like, Raimonds, you just came from Slovenia and just like super excited about the quality of these wines. How many people out there have heard that Slovenia makes wine and makes amazing wine?
I'll give you one more example to the question what you asked. So Riesling as a grape, yeah? So if you or maybe AI would create a content or lecture about Riesling, and the main purpose of this lecture would be to convince or break those misconceptions and myths about Riesling. Riesling is just sweet and cheap, yeah. And still people, I see even now there are a lot of people we try to offer Riesling. No, I don't like Riesling. Sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe I shall not ask why, and maybe I shall not explain why, because I have the feeling I should not do.
You will get angry.
No. So if you would give a content like you say, I don't like Riesling. Okay, here's an A4 page about, which will change your perception of Riesling. You can read it, or I can send you a newsletter, yeah? It will change nothing, trust me. But I'm very proud of that. I made, I think, 2-3 casual dinners. I think it was 50 shades of Riesling or something like that. So I invited people. We had really nice dinner, 3-4 hours. We tasted plenty of Rieslings from bone dry to sweet. Mm. Yes, some people applied to this dinner because I would like to think maybe because of my experience, or maybe they knew me. Yeah. And then some people said, we just wanted to make sure that we don't like Riesling. Mm-hmm. And some people now are coming who said, I don't like Riesling, and they're buying Riesling. So for me, it was like... I really love this because my mission, also part of my mission, is to convince people, to start to enjoy styles or grape varieties which they did not before that, or just to explore, as you mentioned, Slovenia, just to explore maybe new horizons or wine regions or wine countries. This is our mission, part of our mission. And just to make the long story short, for some wines and grape varieties like Rieslings, I feel there is only just one way. You need to work hard, you need to do it again, and the right format, like to having a Riesling dinner with very good selective examples. And of course to explain in a nice way the grape variety with history, like I told about the most expensive bottle on Titanic, by the way, was Riesling, not a Bordeaux or Burgundy. Or if you look at the best restaurants in New York in the end of the 19th century, Riesling was priced the same like Clos de Bez or the best champagnes. And this oh yeah, I didn't know. And this builds that, okay, this is a nice story, because some people just think Riesling, okay, it's like Germany, bad history and cheap wines in blue bottles.
Yes.
So I think it's our mission and to break these stereotypes. No A4 paper or newsletter or AI will do that. We should do that. And this is the only way.
By the way, before I mentioned, I saw that you sniffed the wines. I just wanted to let you know and audience know. So I've poured 3 wines, all from the same grape variety, and I would like to think that they are from a different quality levels. So the idea is that we taste them, and maybe it is slightly linked with the topic that we are discussing about the wine experts, because of course one way to look at wine experts is through the competitions and through the judging, you know, and deciding which wine is good and which wine is bad. Here, kind of, we are three wine experts sitting and discussing wine and whether or not we can actually come to a conclusion which wine we think is of better quality or more suited to whichever client. So I thought it would be interesting. Or which wines we would like to finish today. Do we have a guess on the grape variety?
I have few guesses. Definitely Ronalds has as well. So would you like to start?
Yeah, I can do. The wine that is throwing me off is the first one, a bit, regarding the nose. As you said, it's a one grape variety, so I'm a bit throwing around, but the second and third I would go for Grüne, but if I take the first one, then I go for Chardonnay. So for
Okay. It has a Chardonnay nose, though.
I think it's a style or grape variety which is not entirely obvious, or maybe not one of those very popular, I would like to think. It's not a very aromatic and bright variety. It's not jumping out of your glass. And so neutral in a positive way, I would like to say. Actually, Grüner Veltliner, I thought a little bit about that, but for my palate, I think the acidity is here singing a bit in a good way. So it's very bright and on the elevated side, technically speaking. It's just, you know, sometimes about blind tasting, I mean, of course you can approach it technically, but this time I just had this couple of grapes in my mind, which the character just and the flavor profile reminded me a little bit about Chenin Blanc, actually. Acidity, also these kind of, especially the first has this, how you call it, green gauge plums, these small green plums, a little bit, like when you eat them. And it seems like the middle glass, the number 2, is whatever grape it will be, but it seems like it's a more simple, basic reflection of that wine. If you compare with
very
the first.
flowery, yeah.
And the first had this kind of wonderful, we can call it mineral presence. It can be like something like wet stone or wet wool or something flinty. Can be just SO2. We can just say radioactive. But you know what I'm talking about.
I was waiting for that word.
Yeah. And this could lead you, as you said, to Chardonnay. But for my palate, it's just missing the character of Chardonnay. And the third glass seems to have a little bit more maybe evolution, or a little bit more open-minded winemaking in terms of oxygen. But very charming, yeah. Today, I would probably drink, it will be pretty warm today, so maybe glass number 1 for its freshness, and it's not a very complex wine, but a very pleasant one.
Yeah, I also thought that the wine number 2, I know the grape variety, but I also thought the wine number 2 was the simplest, the shortest, probably from all of them, and kind of honest winemaking, clean, bright wine, but nothing that kind of throws you.
And also,
so we are on the same page here.
Yeah, and also, I'm not like oak influence is not like speaking for these wines. Yeah, there might be some neutral casks involved, but it's definitely.
Is it a one producer?
No, three countries actually, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, whoa.
Should we reveal the wines? I think I will start backwards because I saw here the cork. This is the wine number 3, so you are very familiar with it. And I actually wanted to put this here because we talked about the wine professionals or wine experts. And I think this is an amazing example because so it should be labeled as Vouvray, and it's not. Yeah, because it is made from wines from grapes grown in Vouvray, but because of the recent change, it cannot be labeled as Vouvray anymore because vinification and aging is not done
in Vouvray. Yeah.
So, and I think it's interesting and unique. This is where the experts should come in because you have to explain this wine. You have to kind of talk about it, where it is coming from, and why maybe the price is a bit higher, because we are actually in Vouvray, which is maybe the best known appellation for Chenin. Yeah, it's Chenin. So, and number 2, which we all agreed was kind of maybe the simplest or shortest wine, is KWV. How do you pronounce it correctly? KVV?
KVV, it's the famous co-op, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Can't believe that they're both the same
Grape?
alcohol.
Oh, alcohol. Okay.
Well, the same 13.
So do you have comments on that?
Fruit ripeness, I think. The third one had much more of wine there on the palate. The second one was a lot more watery, let's say. That I think the price difference here is at least 8 times, right?
I think 3 or 4.
In Latvia.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the producer, it could be a bit different. But,
Yeah.
okay, but
That's for sure.
nevertheless,
Yeah.
the difference is definitely there. Okay.
And the last wine is actually from Margaret River. So I think Margaret River is an interesting winemaking region, because it was created by science. People just decided that it is a good place to make wine. And this is Chenin Blanc from Tripe Iscariot from Margaret River. Maybe a bit lower intervention wine style from Australia.
And 19, yeah?
Tony Cross.
Tony Kroos.
He can drink now some Chenin and
sit in
the semi-final
in Germany.
from the couch. Sorry, Tony. We love you.
As the glass gets
Yeah, a little bit. Productive. This is a very dangerous term. I always, when I speak with winemakers, I prepare them. Like
dangerous from a winemaker's point of view.
Some winemakers don't like when their wines are like described reductive, but I think it has a very pleasant and in a good way reductive, smoky.
Bone dry.
The nasty acidity of the Chenin. And I actually chose Chenin because it is a grape variety that wine professionals just love. Usually they love a lot.
Yeah.
But it is impossible to sell this wine.
It's not easy, yeah. By the way, I did this wine dinner with Chenin Blanc.
Oh, 50 Shades of Chenin?
I did, and kind of people liked it. It's the same, similar story like Riesling, but more recent story, because Chenin is a variety which has not that great history as Riesling has. But I think this is one of the varieties which has good potential future.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. If we talk about
with blooming, with more ripeness.
Oak aging if needed, and it will definitely be a good alternative to the southern part of Burgundy, in my opinion, definitely.
And
like Sauvigny's appellation.
And stylistically, I mean, Ronalds mentioned Chardonnay for some reasons, because it can have this wonderful creamy texture from the lees and managing the lees in neutral, or maybe even some new oak, partly new oak. So it can have this appealing Burgundy charm as well, besides the acidity and
the southern part definitely. I'm already convinced.
Yeah. So nice. Yeah. Thank you. Even though this, what would be the retail price of this wine approximately if you buy it?
8
euro. Yeah.
8 euros something. Yeah.
The thing I always say, if you would not have these two wines and just this wine.
I was just thinking about
So the question is, number one, if you would guess it's Chenin, most likely it would be more complicated to guess that this is a Chenin.
Because I didn't answer my question, what would I like today? And for today, as you mentioned, the weather, I'm not a big fan of anything in terms of degrees above 18. So I'm uncomfortable as a northerner. I would prefer the glass number 2. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes. Just... if I would sit down already with some food and so on, then I would choose the wine number 3. But right now on the spot, just a glass of wine, simple, easy going wine number 2,
Fresh,
all day long. Yeah,
refreshing, fruity.
Fresh fruit.
Fresh, fruity, terroir-driven.
Yeah.
Hands-off winemaking.
I think we are wrapping up, and thank you very much. I think it was really interesting, and actually whatever I prepared, we did not go through. I will just quickly tell you one thing. This is, we can record, but it's basically off camera, where I wanted to go, where we didn't. I think this is amazingly interesting. So, old tasting by Fine Wine. And this is Fino e Manzanilla tasting, done by Peter Liam, Jesus Barquin, I don't know this person, and Andrew Jefford. And so I circled several wines, but I think this one is the unique one. Barbadillo, Manzanilla Passada and Rama. Jose gave 80 points, which is just like simple
yeah.
wine. And Peter Liam gave 95.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's interesting how even the wine professionals, so they must have tasted for other quality elements. And here you can see Andrew Jefford gave 87, Peter Liam 95, Jose again 88, Peter Liam 94.
Peter just loves his Jerez, yeah.
No, but I read through, and he actually likes when it is not heavily filtered. And I realized that if there's some the Enrama style or something that he prefers that, and maybe some others kind of don't like that or don't expect Jerez to be with some sediment or cloudy.
If I talk again about business and get back, I don't know, to choosing a wine for a noble wine portfolio, for example, I usually read some books, read some website, and then I look what my favorite wine expert is saying about this wine or this producer. What I mean by my favorite, I have more or less the same palate preferences as the expert.
Which one?
So, does it matter?
Okay, you will tell me.
A very critical one.
Yeah,
a very critical one, as me. Yeah. Okay. So I look at the scores there. I don't go to another expert to see, because I don't our taste does not match. So maybe here, if you're a Jerez aficionado of unfiltered sherries, then you go for Peter's scores. Yeah, they're not competing again. Yeah.
No.
They're just giving their honest opinion, what they think about the wine. So I'm all for it.
Okay, so let's wrap it up, and thank you both for coming in this early morning, drinking nasty acidity Shannon. And I really hope that this will work well and we can come back and sit together and talk about different topics. I think there's a lot. We actually didn't touch a lot of things I wanted to, but that's fine.